My friends on the other side just despise the term profit generally when it applies to a business, let alone education. And I have an issue with these colleges with multi-billion-dollar endowments who are allowing college costs to soar exponentially for non-academic additions of staff and otherwise. I would call that for-profit, by the way. But that said, I'm going to direct a couple of questions to Mrs. Gentles. Thank you for being with us today. In your testimony, you said, it's related to what we were just talking about, costs, that over the last 20 years, K-12 administrative staff in public schools has increased by 88%, while student enrollment only increased by 8%. I doubt you would try to justify it, but can you begin to think of how that might be justified and what the impact has been from this, besides the exorbitant increase in costs, by increasing administrative staff 88%?
Right, I mentioned that in my written testimony, and I also mentioned that inflation-adjusted public school funding has risen by 152%. Teacher salaries have only increased by 8% since 1970. So we've been hearing a lot about teacher salaries. There seems to be an obvious fix, and that's to redirect K-12 funding to fund classroom activities and teachers rather than administrative bloat. And it's laid out very, very clearly that the districts have grown in size and they have hired more and more adults, and that does not serve the needs of students, and it certainly doesn't benefit teachers.
No question about it. I see that across my district, across my home state of Virginia, and across the country, where even where student population is decreasing, we're not directing resources appropriately to the classroom where it makes an academic difference. Instead, we're directing resources to non-academic positions, administrative bloat, or worse. Changing gears a little bit, but appallingly and inexcusably, again, in Virginia, in Fairfax County, not far from here, multiple schools are being investigated for unlawful discrimination because of a failure to notify students about their National Merit Scholar recognition even after some college application deadlines have passed. And it's reported that a school official in Fairfax County actually told a parent that they wanted to inform the students in a low-key way about their recognition, their achievement, in order not to hurt the feelings of those who did not achieve the same level of academic achievement. And this district also, by the way, has spent $450,000 on equity consultants for administrators, perhaps part of that 88% increase in costs for non-teaching staff. Can you imagine any justification for that? Why we would not appropriately want to recognize students who are performing excellently so they can earn scholarships accordingly for that achievement?
Well, there seems to be a movement afoot to take away the idea of merit, to no longer push children to achieve or to even differentiate children by skill levels or challenge them with different levels of courses that they can choose from. And so this is all part of that initiative. Another number to throw out for Fairfax County is that they had $170 million left in their ESSER funding as of last fall that they hadn't spent. So we've been hearing wonderful examples of uses of ESSER funds that districts in the state of Colorado have invested in, and yet in Virginia there was $2 billion overall that the districts had not yet spent last fall of this ESSER funding. Clearly it was not used to reopen schools because Virginia was, I think, like the 6th worst in the nation, and my children were kept out of schools because of that in Arlington County, and suffered as a result. It was isolating. It caused harm emotionally, academically, mentally, and we're seeing all kinds of problems in Arlington County, where I live, with behavior, with drugs, and other issues. So why weren't these ESSER funds spent? Why is there this focus on keeping children down rather than opening the schools and educating them?
Well said. History will judge us harshly for how we sacrifice children on the altar of poor political decisions, harmful political decisions over the last 2 years. We were told that we needed $25 billion to safely open schools. We gave the schools $200 billion. I use the term we loosely, of course, voted against all of that. We gave the schools $200 billion when children were at no risk, by the way, of getting seriously ill from the virus. Nice to look around this room and not see the masks that we know never worked, never prevented transmission of a virus. But what we did to the children, it's already been mentioned today, the lost learning that they will never recover from, and there's no plan to recover from that because we put teachers' unions ahead of students, throughout this whole process. We continue to do it today. I had some questions for you about teachers' unions, but thanks for your testimony. Thanks for being here today. And I yield back, Madam Chairman.